Have you ever wondered why your winter coat stays in the closet more often these days? An intriguing question indeed. You see, over the past 25 years, our planet has been experiencing a significant shift in weather patterns. This isn't just a figment of your imagination. Your winter coat is gathering dust for a reason. The global average surface temperature has been steadily increasing since the pre-industrial era. However, in recent decades, this rate of warming has picked up pace, like a runner sprinting towards the finish line. In fact, just last year we set a new record for the warmest year, with every month ranking among the 7 warmest. These changes are not uniform across the globe though. The Northern Hemisphere in particular is feeling the heat more than its southern counterpart. Why is this happening? What's causing these differences? Well, the answers to these questions are not as straightforward as you might think. Buckle up, as we're about to embark on a journey to unravel the mysteries of our changing climate. It's time to delve into the reasons behind these changes. The world isn't just feeling warmer, it is getting warmer. We've all experienced those balmy winter days that seem out of place, or the summer heat waves that are just a bit too intense. But these anecdotal experiences are backed by hard data. According to climate.gov, the global average surface temperature is on an upward trajectory. From the pre-industrial era to the present day, our planet's thermostat has been steadily creeping upwards. But it's not a steady creep, it's more like a sprinter bursting out of the blocks. In recent decades, the rate of warming has picked up pace, like a runner sensing the finish line. The Arctic, that vast expanse of ice and snow at the top of our world, is feeling the heat more than most. It's warming at an accelerated pace, faster than the global average. Picture this. A world where the ice that once painted the Arctic landscape white is replaced by expanses of open water and barren land. But why should we care about a warmer Arctic? Well, the Arctic acts like a giant mirror, reflecting the sun's rays back into space. But as the ice melts, there's less of that reflective white surface and more dark water and land to absorb the sun's heat, further accelerating warming. The year 2023 was a scorcher. It set a new record as the warmest year ever recorded, with every single month ranking among the 7 warmest. It's as if our planet decided to run a temperature and forgot to stop. But this isn't a fever that will break on its own. It's a symptom of a larger problem, one that we've had a significant hand in creating. Human activities, particularly the emission of greenhouse gases, are cranking up the heat on our planet. And this warming isn't evenly distributed. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you might be feeling the heat more. It's not just a feeling, it's a fact. Over the past 25 years, the Northern Hemisphere has experienced a greater increase in temperature compared to the Southern Hemisphere. But let's dive into the numbers. The global average surface temperature has been on a steady upward trend since the pre-industrial era. However, the rate of warming in recent decades has been much faster, and it's been particularly prominent in the northern half of our planet. Consider the Arctic. This vast expanse of ice and snow, which acts like a giant mirror reflecting sunlight back into space, is warming at an accelerated pace. The year 2023 set a new record as the warmest year, with every month ranking among the 7 warmest. The result? The Arctic's reflective ice and snow are rapidly disappearing. But why is the Arctic so important? It's all about albedo, a measure of how much light that hits a surface is reflected without being absorbed. Snow and ice have a high albedo, meaning they reflect a lot of sunlight. But as the Arctic warms and ice melts, it's replaced by dark ocean water, which has a low albedo and absorbs more heat. This creates a feedback loop, where warming leads to more ice melt, which leads to more warming, a cycle that disproportionately affects the Northern Hemisphere. The loss of Arctic ice is also disrupting atmospheric circulation patterns, leading to extreme weather events. These include prolonged heat waves in summer and severe cold snaps in winter, both of which have become more common and intense in the Northern Hemisphere. But this is not just about weather patterns and melting ice. It's about people, ecosystems, and the future of our planet. The changes we're seeing in the Northern Hemisphere are having profound impacts on human societies and natural environments, from rising sea levels threatening coastal communities to shifting habitats affecting wildlife. But why is this happening? The answer is complex, but the main culprit is human activity, particularly greenhouse gas emissions. But we'll delve deeper into the human factor in our next segment. Stay tuned. The answer lies in our own actions. It's a hard truth to swallow, but human activities, especially our prodigious greenhouse gas emissions, are the primary culprits behind global warming. But how does this tie in with the accelerated warming in the Arctic? Let's start with the basics. Greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane, trap heat in our atmosphere. This is a natural process that keeps our planet warm enough to support life. However, human activities like burning fossil fuels and deforestation have dramatically increased the concentration of these gases in the atmosphere, leading to an enhanced greenhouse effect. The result? A steady rise in the global average surface temperature since the pre-industrial era, with recent decades experiencing a much faster rate of warming. The year 2023 set a new record as the warmest year, with every month ranking among the 7 warmest. Now, this warming is not uniform across the globe. The Arctic, for instance, is warming at an accelerated pace. The reason for this is the loss of reflective ice and snow, a phenomenon known as the albedo effect. As the white ice melts, it exposes the dark ocean and land underneath, which absorbs more sunlight and further accelerates warming. This vicious cycle, driven by human-induced warming, exacerbates the polar amplification effect. But the human factor doesn't stop at greenhouse gas emissions. Our activities are also changing the landscape of the Arctic. Infrastructure development, resource exploitation, and pollution are all adding to the pressures on this fragile ecosystem. In essence, we're not just turning up the Earth's thermostat, we're cranking it up disproportionately in the Arctic. And as the Arctic warms, it disrupts weather patterns, affects wildlife, and threatens indigenous communities. But what does this mean for our future? The future isn't set in stone, but it's looking warmer. As we gaze into the crystal ball of climate science, we see a range of possible outcomes based on our current carbon emissions. Each scenario, unfortunately, forecasts a hotter world than we are used to. Imagine a world where the global average surface temperature is anywhere from 2.4 to a staggering 10.2 degrees Fahrenheit warmer by the end of the century. That's not just a little uncomfortable. It's potentially catastrophic. With such a rise, we'd see more frequent and severe heat waves, longer droughts, and more intense storms. But why should we in the Northern Hemisphere be more concerned? Well, it's all about the ice. The Arctic, our vast frozen north, is warming at an accelerated pace due to the loss of reflective ice and snow. You see, ice and snow reflect sunlight, keeping the Arctic cooler. But as the world warms and this ice melts, less sunlight gets reflected away. Instead, it's absorbed by the ocean and land, causing further warming. It's a vicious cycle, and it's happening right now. This rapid warming in the Arctic has far-reaching impacts. For one, it disrupts weather patterns, leading to harsher winters and hotter summers in the Northern Hemisphere. It also contributes to rising sea levels, threatening coastal communities across the globe. And let's not forget the loss of habitat for Arctic wildlife, including the iconic polar bear. In the year 2023, we set a new record with every month ranking among the 7 warmest. That's not a record we should be proud of. It's a wake-up call. We are the primary cause of this global warming, with our greenhouse gas emissions driving these changes. So where do we go from here? The answer to that question lies in our hands. The future isn't set in stone, but it is looking warmer. But just how much warmer is up to us? Let's keep that in mind as we turn our gaze towards the future. The power to change the future lies in our hands. Indeed, our actions today will shape the world of tomorrow. We've explored the rising temperatures, the disproportionate impact on the Northern Hemisphere, and the human factor. So what can we do to turn the tide? The answer lies in reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. By transitioning to renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency, and altering our consumption patterns, we can significantly cut down on our carbon footprint. This isn't just about big corporations and governments making changes. Each and every one of us has a role to play. Think about your own life. How can you make changes? Perhaps you can use public transportation more often, recycle, or choose products with less packaging. Maybe you can plant a tree, or even just educate yourself more about the climate crisis. Remember, every small action adds up. And it's not just about saving the planet. It's about ensuring a safe, healthy future for ourselves and generations yet to come. Knowledge is power. The more you learn, the more you can do. So continue to seek out information, question, and challenge the status quo. Together, we can make a difference. The world is warming, and we're feeling the heat. Over the past 25 years, we've seen an undeniable steady increase in global temperatures. This isn't just a random fluctuation, it's a trend, and it's accelerating. The northern hemisphere in particular has been hit harder. The loss of reflective ice and snow in the Arctic is causing temperatures there to escalate at a faster rate. This is not a distant problem, it's happening right now, and it's impacting populations living in these regions, changing their lives in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. And let's not forget the role we, as humans, have played in this. Our actions, specifically our relentless emission of greenhouse gases, are the primary drivers of these changes. We've set a new record in 2023, marking it as the warmest year yet. But it's not too late to change the course. The future scenarios vary, and they largely depend on our actions today. The time to act is now, the future depends on it.